Hello and welcome to a brief overview of Dermodality Skin Solutions. I'm Victoria. I am the Executive Director of Operations for Dermodality and also a licensed esthetician in Nevada. And this is
Tony Vogel, founder and creator of Dermodality.
we're so
How
lucky
you
to
doing?
have Tony on a Zoom here and share all his amazing knowledge. So before we get into this overview, we just want to go over a couple of things. So like I said, this is just going to be kind of a brief, maybe hour-long, going over the whole thing from all of our home care to the chemical peels in our system. But if you guys like what you hear in this, know that we do have full 2-day advanced exfoliation classes in San Marcos, California, which is where our hub is, and also Las Vegas, Nevada. We have those monthly. And then we also have this available via Zoom too. And I think our next Zoom training is going to be in April, but it could be May. But if you do want more information on that, just go to our website, which is www.dermodality.com, and then go under the training tab and you'll see everything there. And to register, I believe you're going to have to be signed into your pro account. So that's the next thing. If you guys haven't signed up for a pro account, definitely recommend that you do that on the same website in the top right corner. You just click register and you fill out your information, whether you are a professional or a student. There's an option for both. And then once it's submitted, just give us like 24 hours to review all the information. And then you'll get an email with a link on how to log in. And then you should be able to see all the pricing and sign up for all the trainings.
Very good.
So we do have some application videos on our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type in Dermodality, subscribe, because we do plan on creating a lot of videos this year, and we're going to be uploading a lot. So lots of good stuff coming. And then also head over to our Instagram, which is at Dermodality Skin Solutions. We try to stay really relevant there with all the things that we have going on, specials. You can see a lot of good before and afters and all of that. So make sure you guys do all of that. So Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit just how Dermodality was born?
Oh, geez. We have to go back to before 2004. And I always say, or I always talk about how at that time, people were doing chemical peels, but instead of doing really a very good job at doing peels, they did a better job burning skin, and estheticians were basically creating victims out of clients. It's pretty bad. So what happened is I was doing several shows. We had launched our award-winning pumpkin peel, and we were doing several shows at the time. And I was noticing when the TCA peels first came out, the people that were selling products at the show that were selling TCA didn't have any instructions, no information. And by the third or fourth show that, these peels were when they first were introduced, there was a lot of people coming back and saying, hey, where are the instructions? Where's the information? Where's the education? Because we're not getting the results that we expected from this. So I knew there was an opportunity there. And this is the first step in conditioning the skin. So what we actually did is we created chemical peels that prepared the skin and created retail products that also prepared the skin by conditioning the skin. Going through a skin conditioning process we called preconditioning. So basically, that was the very beginning. There was a tremendous opportunity. Is very unique to do this. Nobody else was teaching anything, so it was great. In fact, I remember the first class we ever did a TCA course or a advanced chemical peel course. We had over 50 people because everybody wanted to know. So that was the beginning.
That's awesome. So, we all know chemical peels have been around for a really long time. They say that Cleopatra used to bathe in lactic acid to lighten her skin. And she was the first person maybe to ever use chemical peels. And then, so what you're talking about in the burn phase was back in the 80s, right? This is kind of when the esthetician first
Well,
came.
not just the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I can go back to when I was working with a doctor locally here in San Diego, and they were selling to the medical industry 70% glycolic acid peels. And, that was in the 90s, 50% glycolic to estheticians. And you're seeing burn baby burn
Yeah.
victims all over the place. So actually, it was all, up till the early 2000s, nobody had developed the proper chemical peels to prepare the skin. And that's really what we've done. We have our group of hybrid peels today that were developed back then. I actually started to work with a postgraduate program for estheticians here in San Diego. And it allowed us to actually see the skin response as we were developing these peels. These were hybrid. So you used to have just glycolic, lactic, salicylic, and then obviously TCA that we just discussed. But what we did is started to blend like mandelic acid with lactic acid with, lower amounts of glycolic, and from there, we're able to ultimately create our hybrid peels, in many cases adding tyrosine inhibitors or lightening agents to it as well. So we offered a little bit more brightening and lightening. So it took several years to actually end up with what we have today. We're really the first chemical peel that I think that was out there with mandelic acid, and that was a breakthrough because we really need to test the skin. We need to see the skin's response. And once we got the response, we could react to that. And it gave a window to that skin's tolerance. And it allowed for us to make the adjustments or, work with the skin. And we really developed the length of time that we had to precondition the skin for each and every Fitzpatrick. And ultimately, we're able to work with all Fitzpatricks.
Aw.
Yeah, there you go.
This is our
Great picture, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what we all love about dermodality, is that really nobody's left out with chemical peels. And, through that conditioning process, we are keeping that inflammation so low. So, we don't ignite what we call the heat shock protein, which was what was happening back in the day when those higher concentrated acids, that was an uncontrolled burn, right?
Right.
We've developed a controlled burn, keeping that inflammation low so that the heat shock protein is not released during the healing phase and creates scar collagen. We want the good collagen, type 1-3. So it's amazing. And we're going to get into the whole, system and how it all works, but really it's for everybody. So whether you have a client, with Fitzpatrick 6 skin, really, really dark skin that has some hyperpigmentation or maybe even some acne scoring or whatever it is, premature aging, and they want 3 layers of TCA with a retinol power booster, they can get that, but they just have to be conditioned properly. So this whole system is amazing. Thank you for developing it. I know, as an esthetician, it's comforting to know that there's a system that works. And then of course, I answered the phones for dermodality for a long time. And the feedback that we get is just so powerful from people of what they're able to accomplish during their in-office treatments.
Correct.
So, here we go. We're just going to show a couple before and afters of what our partners have sent to us, which, the results just speak for themselves. People ask me why dermodality, and I'll just show them some before and afters. I'm like, do I need to say more? Here, the proof's in the pudding, really. But what I've found out is that it's really it's the use of the whole system that will get the best results. It's not, you can definitely take just our peels and work, with another line, that's fine. You can take just the custom facial system, the masks, and use that in your treatment room and you'll get good results. Or you can just use the home care on your clients and you'll get some good results. But to get the best results, you're going to have to use the full system, right?
Right. And actually, we're going to be talking about why that's the case. And then I just want to follow up on partners. When Victoria speaks to partners, we're talking about our 15,000 salons and spas that are carrying dermodality or has parts of dermodality.
Yeah. And just so you guys know too, like Tony mentioned, he's from Southern California, which is where this company originated. Again, where our headquarters are still at. We do have accounts trickled out throughout the country, but we are pretty much still localized in the Southern California region. And, we have massive, big plans to grow at really we're growing at an exponential rate right now, but we are kind of just breaking out of that Southern California area, right?
We are. There's some very exciting things happening, and we always talk about why this is occurring. It's because of the needs for every esthetician. They're becoming more aware of how they can actually control the skin with the proper techniques and usage. And as we speak to the concentrations of some of the ingredients that we have that allow for this to happen, it's really accelerated our growth. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So this esthetician, she's amazing. We have a studio up in Seattle, Washington area, and this is after 5 in-office treatments. She never ever went to the base 2 peels. This was just the conditioning. So your mandelic and pumpkin, and then she loves the oatmeal mask. She's the oatmeal mask, the anti-inflammatory complex, and then of course home care. Home care is 80% of the results that you will achieve. So she had her on, I think, the M Corrective, the Blemish Wash, the Moisture Soothe Plus for sure. And I actually have this all on the Instagram. If you guys want to go look at this picture, the breakdown of everything that she did is underneath that, but amazing results.
Mm-hmm.
This is another one of our really talented SDs over in South Carolina, I think. Anyway, she's so good, and she's primarily works with Dr. Fitzpatrick's. I know that she makes it a requirement for her clients to be on our vitamin A intense, vitamin C intense, and the HQ lightening gel. She won't work on them unless they're on that home care. So obviously, this is a base 2 peel here. She really likes the Jesners and the TCA 10. So a couple layers were done here, but look at the amazing dermodality glow that she achieved there. And this, Tony, go ahead.
Well, this is actually one of your employees, or one of our employees, I should say. And she's in Las Vegas. This is Tracy, and she was the case study for our new vitamin C. And we took out the L-ascorbic acid, and we have an amazing, we'll talk about it in just a little bit, but an amazing blend of truly the most advanced vitamin C's that are water-based, and the effectiveness these are the results. Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is what, 4 weeks or 3 weeks?
30 days of home care. Yep.
30 days of home care. Just the home care, maybe you had one treatment?
I think she did one mandelic pumpkin during this time, but yeah, it was primarily the home care that did this. And she, obviously, we wanted her to use the product so she could speak to it, but she did the cleanser, the vitamin A. She also was using the revitalizing super serum, but yeah, I think the vitamin C was really the key player here. It just, all that pigment fell right off her face. It was crazy.
Just want to kind of share something about case studies, and before we actually produce something, we make sure that we're testing on estheticians.
Yeah.
We are doing our testing, before the product is ever developed. So if it's not going to create this type of response that we expect because of really the contemporary nature of the actives that we're applying in this product, if it doesn't give us the results, we're not going to go forward. And this just didn't happen. We went through a process before we even got to this process to where we actually are creating our base samples, and then we go into the case studies. And wow, this is actually one of the most exciting ones we've had for a vitamin C product. Okay, in fact, it is.
Yeah, and you guys too, if you guys ever do call in the office to place an order, Tracy answers the phone line, so you can ask her all about it, and she will gladly tell you about her whole journey, and how it's been thus far. And it's only been a few months now. At this point, it's been like 4 months, but yeah, definitely give her a call and talk to her. It's amazing. Tony, you just mentioned active. So I know we're going to break down kind of, some different things here, but let's start with the active because it's just so important. What does that actually mean in skincare?
Well, I think you have to go back to where it's derived from. And, a lot of people don't realize that how many products are actually found in the rainforest, ingredients, I should say, and they start in at a pharmaceutical level. And ultimately they become part of an ingredient, and we call them actives. It's a concentration of an ingredient that allows a certain level of change to the skin itself. So that's the quickest, most simplistic way I can explain it.
Okay.
So
I know we have a whole slide of home care, so maybe we'll give a couple, just examples of maybe like our vitamin C and vitamin A and what that actually means. Because I know a lot of people want to ask, what retinol are you on? And they say, oh, TJ Maxx. I'm like, let's talk about that. And the active level in a TJ Maxx product. So coming soon. But we are a professional line. So this basically just means that we don't sell direct to consumer. We promise under this ownership to stay professional. And why did you want to do that, Tony, from the beginning?
well, it's really important that we are working with you said partners, and we're responsible for part of their success. When we talk about professional line and only actually selling to the professional, we're not circumventing the process by going directly to their clients. So we'll never sell to your clients, retail, anything. And I'm telling you this now, and this could be 15 years from now, I'll say the same thing. We're not going to sell to your clients. And too many companies are doing that. And it's just, to me, it's insulting to the esthetician. You're committing to our products. We're committing to you. That's basic. That's the most simplistic and basic part of that.
Yeah, we want to help you grow your business. And there's nothing worse than having a client in your room and you're about to sell them all these products and they're like, hold on, let me go to Amazon really fast, and see if I can get it
Crazy.
there. So that, and then also, I guess here we'll use an example for the actives. Because our products are so concentrated, you really do need to be under the guidance of a professional that can help you walk you through the process of getting used to a retinol, for example. There can be a lot of, not a lot, especially with ours, because we combine our retinols with anti-inflammatories and other really good ingredients that help that transitional process. But with drying and irritation and all this stuff, if somebody experiences that and can't call their esthetician, they're going to maybe think that the product doesn't work, or that they've got a bad or expired product. When actually that's normal. You need to go through that. If you don't feel something on your skin, the chances are it probably isn't really working. If you don't feel at least a little tingle or a little something going on, a little redness, it's probably really diluted, right?
Yeah, and I think there's two parts to that that we can expand on just a second. And one of them is the on the bottom you see the word symbiosis. There is symbiosis between our products, and you can make adjustments. We share the information or provide the information and allow you to do this. It's pretty simple, but you look at skin. We look at skin in many different ways. You just can't say, okay, the skin is oily or dry and I'm going to use this product, or sensitive. You have to really look at everybody as an individual. And the more you do that, I believe the client's going to come back to you for that instruction. And we make it simple. It's not really that difficult, but as we create these products, we want to make sure that everything interacted with each other. So you had multiple ways to actually adjust to that client's condition.
Yeah, exactly. Any of the targeted treatment serums that are in very, therapeutic dosages can be mixed with, let's say, the Moisture Soothe Plus, which is a very anti-inflammatory, nice and soothing moisturizer. And it's toning down that kind of spice level, if there is a little bit, without losing any of the efficacy. So many ways to customize this whole line for your benefit, for your client's benefit. Also, when you go to let's just use Ulta and Sephora, for example, and you go pick up a retinol or a vitamin C, the active levels, like I was just saying, have to be low because that rate of return would be so high. And this is well known. So this is just something to explain to your clients, why you really don't want to pick up your products there. But our products are very closely priced to what somebody would go find at Sephora and Ulta, which is really, really great for the value of what we can offer and deliver and the results you will achieve. The price point is right there, right?
It is. And Just a couple things I would like to expand on there is that we do own all of our formulas. And it's important because we want to know what's inside the product itself. So we can do a lot more with that, knowing what we know. When we're talking about the customizability of the product itself. And really, when we speak to the actives that are in the line, we can really share the differentiation between our product and, not necessarily other products, but really what is in our product percentage wise, what it does, why it does it. And it gives you the understanding that really is shared to that client and allows for greater sales. I mean, just because you really have the information and we're not afraid to share it.
Yeah, we really dive into all that too in our training so that it's really powerful talking points. When we always say, competence breeds competence. So when you're competent about all the things that you're speaking about, actives and, peptides and amino acids and just all the things, bases of retinol and retinol cascade and all this stuff, you're confident in explaining that to your client. And when you're confident, they will trust you. They will continue buying from you. They're going to get the results and then they're going to go tell all their friends. It's just all right. So everything in this line is customizable from the home care to the back bar, which just makes everything so great because as we all know, not one person is created equal. We're all different. We all have unique things about us, and then you take into consideration jobs and, exposure to the outside, all the different things that change everybody. So having the ability to customize your treatments in office is critical. Anything you want to add to that?
I do, and especially when it comes to us, and we'll be talking about layering or let's say the pumpkin peel over the top of the mandelic, which is essential because the larger molecule with the mandelic acid, it's actually 8-carbon molecule versus glycolic being a 2-carbon. So they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So by the use of the pumpkin and the vasodilating value of the bilberry in the pumpkin at a high percentage, 3%, we actually increased it by 3 from the older days. It's actually going to push the mandelic into the skin or provide an avenue for it to penetrate into the skin now at that large molecule where it acts as if it's a much smaller molecule like glycolic or lactic acid with the penetration without having the irritation and some of the negative effects that you can have from larger percentages of glycolic acid especially. So you don't have to risk, but yet now we're customizing it in a way that actually affects the skin in the process, getting better penetration. Actually, with mandelic, it's both a AHA and a BHA. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the products in just a little bit, but I'll get ahead of myself just by saying that you allow for some of the things that we want to be added, the ability to break down encapsulations of oils and fats and these type of things that kind of get in the way of your normalizing of the skin. So you end up destroying bacteria, these type of things. But I need to get that to penetrate, and the pumpkin peel allows for that. And that's one of the customization that we speak to. And when we do use the pumpkin peel, since we're talking about it, we want to make sure that we're layering it always over the mandelic acid. And we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, we have some slides coming up with the different breakdowns of the categories. So we'll definitely get into that. So basically, Dermodality is an advanced, clinically proven, medical grade and result-driven line designed for individual customization. The line contains industry-high, bioavailable, concentrated key active ingredients that are intended to treat multiple skin concerns for any skin condition and for all Fitzpatrick's. That's another big point there too, is that because the line is so well-rounded, we definitely have some products that are targeted for certain skin conditions, but really, if I have a regimen, whether it's from back bar to home care, and I am prescribing something or doing a treatment and it's geared towards acne, I'm going to definitely treat that acne, but also what you're going to notice is that any fine lines and wrinkles are going to diminish, maybe any pigment is going to lift. So really targeting everything. And then same is true for pigment. If I treat your pigment, I'm also going to help with any texture issues or premature aging. So whatever you choose, you can't go wrong with. In our one little bottle of, maybe one little targeted treatment serum here, this contains sometimes more than 5 actives. So I've heard that there are a lot of other lines where you've got to buy, a different product for each function, right? So in one, you're getting multiple values. So the products perform their best in a synergistic manner to cause immediate and effective change on a cellular level, which ultimately brings the skin to its optimal level of health and integrity, which is really what we're after. What is perfect skin? Baby skin, but we're not all babies. Everybody is in different age group. We just want to bring them to their optimal level of health and integrity, whatever that means for them. And we can achieve this through the in-office treatments, but really it's the delivery of all these essential vitamins and nutrients and minerals and actives that you're getting inside of the home care that's really going to work. And you will notice that your skin is performing its best.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you often hear from our other educators and obviously our estheticians that work with our products. We do know that a large percent of the results are going to come from the retail products because of the dosages of actives, the concentration of actives. So what percentage would you say would be the ultimate result and long-term result of the skin by using the retail?
80%, if not more, for sure.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I know the answer, but it is really a fact. We spent a great deal of time developing our skincare, each product. Sometimes, we have products that took over a year and a half to develop to get those type of results. So I just wanted to add that in. So I'm glad you had that answer for me.
Yes. So, to draw an analogy, it's the same thing as if you were to hire a trainer at the gym. Your trainers are usually always very expensive and you've got to buy a package, right? Why would you spend that money on that trainer and then not go to the gym every, 3 or 4 days a week on your own? Because the trainer probably, unless you want to use all your, training dates, I guess, in a row, but who does that? You have to go to the gym on your own in between seeing the trainer to get the best results. Same thing with your skincare. You're going to go see your esthetician every 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully, but you've got to use the home care at home. So, really the reason is because when you're working with esthetician in the treatment room and they're doing any type of trauma-induced thing that they do, whether it's chemical peels or microneedling or laser or whatever it is, it's a controlled injury. So when you're doing that, you're stressing the skin. When you stress the skin, it releases growth factors, which releases which are peptides and all these different things to help rebuild your skin. But that process only lasts for a certain amount of hours after the treatment time. And it really depends on the depth of the chemical peel, the nature of the chemical, the strength, or, the depth of the needle or whatever. But it's the home care, it's the topicals that you're using to facilitate that cell to cell crosstalk. And so what is that cell communication is lost over time. It's the best. I brought up perfect skin is that of a baby or, a 5-year-old. Anytime from 0 to 5, you've got the best skin. You go touch their cheeks and they're strong and they're taut and they're translucent, beautiful, no texture. But over time, due to intrinsic factors, just like, from chronological aging or disease or anything, or external factors like UV damage, pollutants, anything, your lifestyle, the cell-to-cell communication diminishes. And so that is what we do inside the treatment room. We're rebuilding that through the initial trauma of whatever it is modality that you're doing, but it's the topicals that are so important.
They really are, both in the preparation for that treatment as well as the long-term effect of the skin itself, and even providing new technologies that allow for that crosstalk to be even more perfected within the product, with things like exosomes and other ingredients like that, where these are receptors that are actually communicating to the cells, or picking up the information and communicating to the cells, and providing much greater, perfection of the service and system of that information being ignited. So,
Yeah, let's talk about exosomes when we get to the home care slide.
okay.
Exosomes are a hot topic right now. So just a couple more real life before and afters using the Dermodality line. This was achieved in 2 in-office treatments. I believe she did the Mandelic and the pumpkin the first time, and then the intensive brightening and the pumpkin the second time. And then she, of course, was using the home care, but you can definitely see texture change, just an overall glow, and definitely a reduction in the, looks like melasma here. So super, super great results. And something else I want to mention too is that what we see is that through the skin conditioning process and the use of the Dermodality home care line, you can achieve deep peel results without ever having to go down that road if you don't want to. And so a lot of times, whether it be the esthetician's just never comfortable with it, or the client never, doesn't want that kind of downtime, because there's definitely days of sheet peeling and you're looking really crazy for a while, and people don't want to do that. So sometimes it's not necessary. We can get there through the skin conditioning process. It's a marathon, it's not a race. This is another one by Candace. The vitamin A intense, the vitamin C intense, the HQ lightening gel. She conditioned her skin and she worked her up to Jesner here. Amazing. This is what we call the Dermodality glow. This is what you begin to see when you are using our line. And it is amazing. Like, there's so many days I don't wear makeup, but my skin is just glowing. And it's because, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but it's that thinning of the stratum corneum, that thickening of the dermis, all these new fresh baby cells are at the surface and they just are popping.
Mm-hmm.
This should be backwards. Obviously, this is the first one, and then this is the second one. And this was after, I think, just one in-office treatment with some home care. So this was really quick results here. This was really great too. The use of the Mandelic peel was critical in this and bringing down the inflammation, and the home care. You love this one, huh, Tony?
I do, and I know who the esthetician is. That's her client. I think that's Catherine.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, beautiful. Oh, and then this one, so she combined skin needling with the Dermodality home care. So just look at that. That is amazing. And I will tell everybody now that we are about to launch our own micro needling course. We're hoping to have it up in April of 2023. If not April, or where are we at? March, April. If not April, then May. We are going to do our micro needling course. In the course, we're going to have a pen included. It's a really awesome pen. Call in and talk to us about it if you're interested. But yeah, look at these results. Amazing. And so we call that combination therapy too. If you want to do little micro needling and then you want to do a little chemical peeling, there's ways to fit it in so that you can do both, because all these different modalities serve their own purpose. So if you want to use it all, combination therapy. Here is a kind of transition of a TCA. So this was obviously before, over here, during, and you can see this like big slab of skin that just falls off with our TCAs. It's so crazy. All the pigment comes to the surface, falls off, and boom, look how happy she is. So something for everybody, like the lighter peels, the heavier peels, the great home care, and really we belong in med spas, or if it's just a single esthetician running her own room, there's something for everybody. Also, if you've been practicing for 20 plus years, great, our line is great for you. Or if you're right out of school, our line is also for you. Something for everybody here. All right, skin conditioning, my favorite. So we've kind of already talked a little bit about this, the whole process. So we like to draw an analogy here. So let's take an example of 2 guys and they're about to go run a marathon. Okay. Person A, he does not get ready for this marathon. He sits on the couch. He doesn't drink his water. He doesn't have his nutrients, his vitamins, the proper food, the proper sleep. And then you take this other person over here and they're preparing for that race. They are getting all the water, they're running, half a mile a day, might be a mile a day, getting their adequate sleep, all these different things. These guys both go run this big marathon on the same day. Who's going to have the better outcome? Obviously, this person over here. My hand keeps disappearing. That's because they trained for it. Same thing with this, our whole skincare process. You can't just start off with TCAs and Jesners. You can't do it. You're going to have so much risk. The guy that didn't train for that marathon, he might go and try, but he's not going to make it. He might sprain his ankle. He might collapse. Who knows what's going to happen to him? Same thing with your skincare. If you start too aggressive, there's going to be complications. And so that's why this whole process was developed.
Or if you're not using the home care, that's really the key right there. I wouldn't even do the peel at all if you're not using our home care.
Yeah. So the home care is part of the conditioning process. When somebody comes to see you, you can immediately start them with the Mandelic and the pumpkin peel, but you're sending them home with these targeted treatment serums to condition, like we had talked about. So it's not just the pills and it's not just the home care. It's the whole process. So you see them, you send them home with the home care, they're using it daily. That's conditioning. Now, we talk about in a minute here in the next slide, how long do you need to do that? Well, it depends on your Fitzpatrick. Obviously, the darker the skin tone, the longer you're going to have to condition the skin because of the risk of, melanin production and and scarring, all that. But during this process, and so going back to the analogy really fast, it wasn't just the water that the guy drank. It wasn't just the right amount of sleep. It wasn't just the mile a day he was running. It was everything that he did. Because what if he only went and ran every day, but didn't drink any water? He's going to be dehydrated. He's not going to make it. So same thing. It's not just the peels. It's not just the mass system. It's not just the home care. It's the system that works so well. And during this time of conditioning, we're really building the tolerance and integrity. So we're gradually getting used to the inflammation instead of hitting it super hard. And we are debriding the field. So like we just mentioned, we're thinning the stratum corneum and thickening the dermis. And why is that so important? Tony?
Well, it's very important because when we use higher strengths of chemical, let's just say call it salicylic or TCA or resorcinol that's in the Jesner peel, what happens is that chemical one is looking for a density of protein. And if the density of protein is not on the surface, it's going to keep penetrating into the skin. This is where we get into the old days where that process, or even in today's date, where the professional's not doing the right job, or it doesn't work with the products that are allowing for that thickness of the dermis while you're thinning. It's just not one or the other, it's both. So it's a gentle thinning of the dermis of the stratum, and then the stimulation and the growth of the dermis. And that's critical. Now the density is on the surface and the chemical is going to react. It doesn't have to travel far to get to that density. That's why.
And so sometimes too, if it just sits on the surface in that thicker layer, if you haven't resurfaced it correctly, it will sit there and burn, right?
It will. And not only that, I mean, again, it goes back to what you're talking about with the heat shock protein that's created. It creates a whole change to the skin surface, and the risk is just not worth the reward, when you're doing the chemical peels. So it's just critically important to build that thickness in the dermis, and you're doing that mainly with our vitamin A's and C's, but we also have other tools that in the retail arena that are doing that. And we've perfected it. This is what we spent, and we just didn't come. One of the things I didn't finish talking about, in the initial days with Dermodality, we didn't come out with a full retail line. It took years before we completed our retail line. We had 6 products meant for conditioning the skin from a retail level, and we perfected those over the years as we perfected the peels. So it's super important. Another thing that I just want to mention is that surface at the time of using any type of chemical strength, it almost has to be like that paper. It has to be like super even, because if it's not even, you're going to have pooling effect to the skin, and that's going to cause a burn in most cases. So there's multiple things that you obviously have to know, but it's pretty basic common sense. It's basic common sense when you have the right products to create the right effect to the skin and stuff.
Mhm. And so what you just mentioned with the pooling and stuff, that's not controlled, right? And so one of the things that
Correct.
we preach here is predictability and
Mhm.
control in this line. And so when you're utilizing the system in its proper way, you have that like peace of mind while you're in your treatment room and working with acids. And that's something that's very, very nerve-wracking to a lot of people, even seasoned estheticians, you know. And so we want to give you the confidence to perform anything that, you know, we offer, from the entry-level peels to multiple layers of TCAs with boosters.
You know, I teach some classes and I'm around the teaching of classes all the time. And I always say before it even happens, I know what's going to happen, even with the first treatment. I see it. There's going to be a change in the skin. There's going to be some correction of the pigmentation, texture, everything. You see that the first time. But the longer they're on the retail, it even becomes more predictable from that standpoint. Predictability, you just talked about it, confidence. I mean, having that confidence, feeling like, okay, if I follow the right directions, I'm not taking the risks that are unnecessary. So I take that equation out of it. And that is brilliant. I mean, it just allows you to really succeed. Like I said, we spent years perfecting this. This system that we offer, that we teach, is really, I don't, you know, it's closest to foolproof that is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So through this process, you know, again, it allows you to treat all Fitzpatrick's. We're suppressing the melanin by introducing tyrosinase inhibitors, both in the back bar and the home care, and reducing the risk of the hyperpigmentation. So we condition the skin with a series of what we call our base 1 peels and our active home care. So just to give everyone a kind of a brief breakdown of our system, and Tony and I just did a whole separate video on this that will be uploaded to YouTube very soon. We have 4 categories for our peels. It's base 1, base 2, accelerator, and retinol power boosters. So our base 1 peels consist of our Mandelic Plus and our intensive brightening. These are both alpha hydroxy acids, so they have to be neutralized with water during your in-office treatment. You can use them separately or you can mix them together. And it's always going to be your first layer, your base 1, and they're all hybrid, so combinations of multiple acids. And the reason for that, and we get into this in our trainings, each acid has a different function, a different molecular weight. They penetrate different depths, but they work beautifully when they're together. Again, for a more detailed breakdown of the base peels and their functions, check out that other video. And then with the next is the accelerator. So right now the accelerator is only the pumpkin peel, but we wanted to have it in its own category, you know, just in case we plan on creating another type accelerator, another enzyme, maybe like papaya or pineapple. We don't know yet. But really what that does is it boosts that base 1. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what it's doing as far as boosting, it's really allowing the penetration underneath, and that's really the key to this. So what we can do on top will affect what's going, you know, created in depth. And I kind of explained that a little bit earlier, what is occurring with that. So it is really important to understand these aspects, because you can get more immediate and better and really predictable, like I said earlier, results.
Yeah, exactly. So with the peels, they go layer by layer. And for example, if somebody came in just, you know, right off the street and they wanted to peel, I would probably go with our Mandelic Plus first. It's very safe and effective for everybody. It's the first layer. So when you have that on the skin and you've left it on for 3 to 5 minutes and the client is not experiencing much, you know, on a 0, you ask them 0 to 10 sensitivity level, where are you at? They're at, you know, 0, then that's your indication. I'm going to go ahead and put the booster on now because I'm free and clear to go. However, if somebody, and we really don't ever see this, but there is the off chance somebody has a very compromised barrier, that Mandelic peel is too spicy on their skin and they're uncomfortable, then you're not going to move on with the booster. You're going to remove it, maybe do a cooling mask, and you're going to send them home with the appropriate home care to continue that conditioning process. And 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, by the next time they come to see you, you're going to be able to put that booster on, or the accelerator on, because now their skin is healthier.
Correct.
So the accelerator, the pumpkin peel, like Tony mentioned, you never really want to use it by itself on the face, neck, or décolleté. You'll always get better results by layering it, but it's a pretty versatile peel. You could use it for your back, for back shoal, on your hands. A lot of people want to get rid of pigment there. Booty shoals, you can use it on your feet. Like, there's so many different ways to use that. And again, that star player in that peel, if you will, is the bilberry. Powerful antioxidant, vasodilator. It's going to create that internal heat, almost melt that base one acid, drive it into the skin, create a healthy blood flow, help with the capillaries, and just also help with the whole oil barrier too, your moisture balance. It's just so effective.
Yeah, and you're becoming much more specific as far as what you're treating. So again, you mentioned the Mandelic Plus. Well, the plus is lactic acid and salicylic, as well. So there's 10% lactic acid and 2% salicylic. So you're now identifying that, you're pushing that into the skin deeper than it would normally go. In fact, it wouldn't go anywhere, actually. Mandelic sitting on the skin by itself with an 8-carbon molecule. So it is dependent upon that. Again, now we know what it's going to do and why it's doing what it's doing.
Yeah, amazing peels. So this is your skin conditioning peels. You would want to work with these peels. The home care, you can get creative with it too. We have a lot of estheticians that like to dermaplane and then apply the Mandelic afterwards. Of course, I probably wouldn't do that on the very first peel, the very first treatment, but this is something you can work into. Microdermabrasion followed by any of the base ones, and the pumpkin peel is phenomenal treatment too. And then moving over here to the next categories, the retinol power boosters. Once you've done a treatment or maybe two, then you're free and clear to put now a third layer of our retinol power boosters. So we have two different versions, our retinol Cascade 10 and our intense Cascade 20. Tell us a little bit about those and the differences, and can you mix those?
So the retinols are really simple, to use, and we're going right over the top of and again, these are like your modified Jesner, your Jesner. By the way, I don't think we're going to be talking about the modified Jesner and Jesner peel directly in this video, or this PowerPoint. But our modified Jesner, and people get worried because I think still we're working with resorcinol. We've reduced. We actually have taken out the resorcinol and we replaced it with citric acid. So it becomes a great peel because it gives you, again, that indicating value without irritating the skin. So if you have too strong of a peel before the skin's ready, yes, it's going to be irritated. You're not getting any information. But now we can take, for example, our modified Jesner with 17% lactic acid, 17% salicylic, and 8% citric. It's not anywhere to the point where, at this point that we're doing it within the treatment, where the skin is oversensitized. We now can choose to go over the top, much like we did with the pumpkin peel, with the retinol boosters. And generally, the first time we're using it, just like we use the Mandelic peel before we use our intensive brightening peel, we'll use a 10% or 10-10 retinol booster. And what this will do is allow that client to have a high dosage to go home with on the skin. So now we're not neutralizing it, right? So it's on the skin. They're going home. They can leave it on for 5 hours because it takes 5 hours for the retinol to completely cascade into retinoic acid. And literally it turns into retinoic acid, over the 5 hour process, the 5 hour period of time, the process. And the result is amazing because you're fortifying the peel. It's providing results that you normally could not get by just using that modified Jesner peel. It just is amazing. It really is.
So what he's describing is the modified Jesner falls in the base 2 category, along with our blemish 20 peel, which is primarily salicylic acid. The full Jesner, we have a full Jesner, and we have 2 strengths of TCAs, TCA 10 and TCA 15, and then of course that modified Jesner that he just spoke of. So these are our base 2 peels here in this category over here on the left. These are also hybrid. These are self-neutralizing, so they can be left on the skin. They have to be left on the skin. When you put them on the skin, there's no going back. Your client must be ready for this. This is why it's imperative to go through the skin conditioning process to ensure your client is ready to receive these. They're a much lower pH. That's something else we dive into in our trainings. Understanding pH level is really critical when understanding chemical peels. So much lower pH, they penetrate very quickly, and they're for more advanced repair. And then the retinol power boosters can be layered right over that as an accelerator, but the retinol power boosters can also just be used alone, or they could be used during a base 1 treatment too. So for example, if you used a base Mandelic Plus, you layer it with the pumpkin, you of course neutralize it, remove it completely with water. At that point, you have an option to do a mask or not, and then you remove that. The very last step is going to be for the peel process is going to be your booster. And so like Tony mentioned, 1 layer, you leave it on. After about 5 minutes, you have the option to put on, Moisture Soothe Plus and sunscreen, and then your client goes home. They wear it, cascades, skin is beautiful. So, go ahead.
I just want to, I'm sorry for
No,
there. So what she's saying is so cool, is that you're talking about just a few products and you have so many multiples within those products. So again, it becomes we use the word individualizing the treatment. You can react to the skin rather than skin reacting to you in a way that I've never seen before. So
yeah, absolutely. Just in our relatively small line of 50 SKUs, you can make hundreds of different concoctions. I mean, each of these base 2s, you can take a layer of the Blemish 20, put a layer of the modified Jesner, put a layer of the full Jesner. That's 3 different acids layered on top of each other, and then you throw a booster on there. That's intense, but amazing. So just, coming to, understand which each acid is. When you understand the whole concept of chemical peels, and you feel confident by being the scientist and making your own little special cocktails. Again, Tony and I just did a very detailed video on all this, so check that out on YouTube. And here we are to the Fitzpatrick chart. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about this.
Well, this was designed a long time ago when we first started, as we spoke at the beginning, when we were in the school and developing it for chemical peels. So this is based on the Fitzpatrick. Everybody knows the Fitzpatrick scale. However, the length of time that you're actually treating the skin differentiates based on that. So we've created this chart so you can have at least a guideline. You don't want to say, okay, I did it for 4 weeks on Fitzpatrick 2, and how come the skin was still sensitive? Well, that's a guideline. If the client is sensitive, you might have to lengthen the time from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, just like at the end if it's a Fitzpatrick 6, you said 10 to 12 weeks. So some people are going to need 18 weeks to get to the point where they're properly situated for the chemical peel strength. So it's a guideline. We're generally within that, but at times we're not. So use it as a guideline, but at least you have some instruction in this that's pretty simple.
Exactly. Everybody's different, as we already talked about. So you definitely may have to modify this. But so what essentially this means is for 2 to 4 weeks, you're conditioning. If somebody comes to see you every 4 to 6 weeks, this is pretty much saying you're doing 1 in-office treatment and they're using home care daily. And then they might be ready to move on. This Fitzpatrick 6 will need most likely 3 to 4 in-office treatments with the appropriate home care in that whole time. And then they may be safe to move on. So.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, just don't forget the importance of our skin conditioning serums, which we're gonna talk about in a minute, have to be used during this process, because just doing 3 in-office treatments does not mean that they're conditioned.
Right. In fact, if you're not using the home care, throw this all out the window.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't use this. This is not a guide for you. Exactly. In fact, don't use our chemical peels, please.
Please. Yes. And so this kit right here, this basically just means home care. So we do have some little kits, but we're going to talk on the home care slide what our skin conditioning targeted treatment serums we highly suggest using. And as long as you're using at least one of those, then you're good to go.
Very good.
So here we are to the active home care slide. Go ahead, take it away. Tell us just a little bit about the home care and what really sets it apart from everybody else. I know we've kind of
Well,
a couple of things, but go ahead.
so I'm just going to kind of bring our vitamin A into fold right here. And this is going to help you actually sell the product better, because a lot of times most of the vitamin A is very similar in the percentage. There's 3 types of vitamin A's that we can buy. We actually buy our 50, what's called a 50C, but there's also a 20% base that's probably 95 to 98% of the retinols that are out there on the market. I'm talking about they're sold at Sephora, Ulta, over the counter. Most of them have a 20% base. It's diluted by 80%. There's very, very little cascading effect to retinoic acid, meaning it's gentle for a reason. It's sold there's no esthetician involved generally, and it's just sold directly to the consumer, and they don't want to get sued because they got too irritated or something like that, or they had a burn or something. So we use, and I mentioned a 40%, there's 40% out there that you can buy. We use a 50C, and then we actually double it. So it's actually 5 times greater than over 95% of the vitamin A out there. And the percentage of ingredient really is important, because we want the effect as if it were like retin A, okay, without the irritant from retin A, or the downside side of retin A, where people, a lot of times you can't go out there in the sun at all, or very little. The risk of that is there. It's a drug. So we manipulate our vitamin A by having anti-inflammatory ingredients that are concentrated. There's high potency of that. There's tyrosine inhibitors we talked about, lightning agents that stabilize the melanin in the process, because you can't get the results we get without stabilizing the melanin. So the vitamin A, in our case, becomes very important. We have 3 different products with high dosages of vitamin A. But now when I communicate to the client, you cannot get that over the counter. You can't get that in other lines. I can tell you this is the most perfect combination of strength and value. And the cascade effect, let's just say if you're using our 0.8 retinol, and that's our vitamin A intense, it has the value of greater, I feel, and the industry feels, of a 0.5 retinoic acid without the irritation. And in most cases, you have to use some other tyrosine inhibitor with it. In our case, you could use it by itself, and at least by itself, you get amazing results. So that's what I mean by the dosage and the percentage of ingredients have a great effect on the skin. We can talk about the moisturizers, which we're not going to get too far into the weeds here with our moisturizers, but it's the same effect with some of our actives, that contain these high concentrations of, for example, our Peptide Plus and Ageless and our eye cream. There's ingredients in there that help seal in transepidermal water. It really holds the moisture. The plankton is at such a high level within one of our ingredients that it changes the whole game, because people don't want heavy, dirty moisturizers. They don't want, that was your great grandmother, that, used to go to, was it Pond's cold cream?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. They want to, you want your client to wear sunscreen. They cannot do anything in way of chemical peel, and they shouldn't be going out of the house without their sunscreen. But a lot of people won't use a sunscreen because the moisture is too heavy. Ours is feather light, but yet we found a way, again, with high concentrations of actives combined with the right balance of moisture and hydration. So where the skin is feels great. Let me have my sunscreen now, because it literally pulls it back into the skin and it feels light. Doesn't feel like you're wearing sunscreen. And especially and doubly if someone is wearing makeup as well, then it really allows all this to work together without feeling like it's heavy, dirty. It's clean. It just really is clean.
Yeah, so I actually can attest to this. The reason why I fell in love with Dermodality was because I suffered from extremely dry skin. I still have eczema on my hands, but because my dry skin, I had a lot of premature aging, also growing up on the beach, having a lot of sun damage, and nothing worked for me. And the part of that you're talking about of the moisturizers being thick is so misleading. Like you think thicker is better, it's going to be more emollient, it's going to help the skin more. So false. I put like packed on just I thought the juiciest stuff, and it just didn't work because there was no actives in there to facilitate that cell to cell communication. So I was shocked when I started using the serums, and I even don't really even have to use a moisturizer because the serums hydrate my skin so well. I might put a little bit on before makeup, but there's multiple days where I go even without a moisturizer. But yeah, thicker's not better. It's all our products are so light and they just feel so good and they just work so fast.
I want to say something else about the percentage of ingredients. I always told you, knowing some of the inside information as far as our compounders and what they would say to us, or one at the time, we had one main compounder that created all of our skincare products. And they'd always say, you are, of all the products, and some of the products, people that are listening to this program here are using some of these products. They said they made what thought to be some of the best products in the industry. She would always tell me, you guys are above any other client, or excuse me, the client that we have, or any company that we're making products for, as far as the concentration of actives. You just recently got involved with formulation and meeting with the biochemists. And what happened recently?
With what?
With one of your emails that you got recently.
Yeah. So she just gave us the biggest compliment, and she said, there's a lot of, she works for a lot of even, big names like us and lots of smaller ones too. But she said, we are so like set apart from all the others. When people use the Dermodality line, they will, in all caps, she did, see change immediately and lasting change too. So just validating, what we know about our line, but it was felt so good to come from such a renowned biochemist like her.
She's a brilliant scientist, and it's so great to hear that. But she loves working with us because of that. She can see, and she sees the results on herself, and that's what she said in her email as well. And in the things that she created, and we're in par and really going above that in certain areas with our formulations. And I just said that because you're just now involved with that, and it's pretty cool to allow you into that kind of area of the business.
It is. It's so fun. I already have some of my own products I want to try out from all the different ingredients. But I mean, yeah, people might be wondering, then why doesn't everybody use actives? Like, why wouldn't skincare companies use the highest actives possible? Multiple reasons, but cost. I mean, it is not cheap to do what we do, but we don't pass that cost on to you, which is something that I just think is so great, Tony, for you to do. You have such a big heart, and you really do want to see estheticians thrive and have successful businesses. And it's oftentimes really hard to work with such a quality line, a medical grade line like ours, without having, to spend. We have no minimums, we have no monthly requirements, and our prices are very, very, very fair. Like I said, you walk in to Sephora and Ulta and go look at that price, and ours is right there comparable to a lot of what's there.
Yeah, I know what goes into a lot of products out there, and I look at the pricing, and I'm gonna give you an example. There's an active that is in our moisturizer, and when we use it to do what we're talking about, we have to use the highest percentage that's available before you can't use it. We'll get a range, and it could range, in this case, it's 0.5 to 2%. And most people will have below the 0.5%, and you're going to get a kind of good effect, but they get to use that name, but they'll do it for profitability.
Yeah.
And because I know it, I see it, and I say, oh my God, they're not even using, really anything that we're using. We're willing to do that because we still make money. It's just that we care about you. We really do. And I think those are kind words, and it's really true. I really care about our customer, and I care about building this line the way it should be built. And that
Yeah.
is with honesty, integrity, and doing all the right things.
And to get those results.
Yes. Really
Yes.
important.
So I think that, really kind of sums up this in a general view of our home care, but we definitely dive into all these things in our trainings to allow you more talking points to your clients to really understand all this stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to mention here?
No, I think we talked a lot.
Yeah, this is more than a brief overview. So the last part, I guess, well, no, not the last, because we're going to go through just really quickly the home care, but this is our custom facial system. This is actually my son right here. He's 14 years old. He is a beautiful boy, but he's a dirty little boy. He plays sports. He wears the hats every day and probably doesn't wash them, baseball, all the things. So he's got hormonal acne going on. It's really surface. So I did here just a quick swipe of our blemish control pads, and then I did the Jewell clay mask with the anti-inflammatory complex, and the results here are 6-hour difference. I mean, it's crazy. I hope everyone can see what I'm seeing here in this picture, because it is nuts, like just how fast it worked. And it really wasn't an aggressive treatment at all. It was just the custom facial system, really. So in our mask system, we've got 6 bases and carriers, and then 6 active complexes. Actually, 5 active complexes. Need to change that. We have a gel mask and a powdered oatmeal, a powdered seaweed, and a Jewell clay. And then we have a facial massage cream and moisture serum. Then we have, you will then put in these 5 different active complexes. There's an anti-inflammatory, a vitamin, multi-mineral, antioxidant, and an exfoliation complex. So this really is so cool because you can just really customize your masks during your in-office treatment, depending upon what your client needs. It only takes a few minutes to kind of mix it up, but it's super fun and super result driven. And I guess, let's be fully transparent with everybody. We're going to tweak this line a little bit and make it better. So I guess without getting too into it, kind of just explain that a little bit.
Better being more simplistic, but it is pretty simplistic as it is. Nobody wants something that's daunting. And I would say, because of the chart that we have, you can actually, let's just say if you have pustules, it'll say, this is the mask to use, this is the active to use. But we're actually working on some ideas that are going to be, well, you're talking about the game changers we talked about recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of a focus to the line, and it's the prescription system is amazing. Your clients expect it. I just want to say they really want you to think of them as an individual. If you just think about what I just said, it's been ignored by a lot of product companies for a long time. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's to have an idea, that you want to do treatment X in the treatment room, you've got this mask you're going to use. Like, how do you know? You only know what you should only know what you're going to do on the moment that it's happening in real time, and that really gives you this system here gives you that ability to do that. What do I need? What does my client need right now? So I'm actually going to make a video on this soon too, that will be uploaded to YouTube, and I'll actually mix up a mask and everything and show you all how to do that. Super easy, really fun too. Last before and afters. This right here is Tony's hands. I don't know if you're going to see it if you hold it up to the, yeah, no, it's kind of hard to see, but this is real. Weak.
thick. That's what we're talking about. That's how you treat the skin. You want that.
For 10, 15, almost 15 years now, Tony's been treating his left hand, which is his driving hand, keep in mind, with the vitamin A, the vitamin C, and the sunscreen, while neglecting the right hand. Poor little right hand. So, what happened there is what you can see, like you just said, he built that dermis, really strengthened it. Look at the tone of it too. Oh my gosh. And that's the driving hand. That should have, the collagen should have broken down more in that hand, but it was just the opposite. So it's corrective, because I'm sure you had damage there before you did that. Corrective and also preventative.
Yeah, it's a case study. I believe each one of you need to build your case studies. This is your calling cards for your clients, and results that are, you can show. And this is just the only thing I could really, we can talk about all these things to you, but you have to see the results. And I promise you, you will always find that change in the skin that you desired as an esthetician, doctor, nurse, whatever, because these products are intended to allow for that. And that's the greatest accomplishment, with the help of all these great estheticians that have guided us to where we are today.
Love it. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to quickly just break down each category. We're going to do another full video on this too, which is going to be separate. So disregard the sunscreen there, but we've got 4 cleansers to choose from: our Mandelic and Green Tea Cleanser, Blemish Control Wash, Foaming Cream Cleanser, and Beta Foaming Cleanser. The Mandelic and Green Tea Cleanser is amazing. Tell us just a little bit about that, Tony.
Well, they're amino acid based cleansing. The cleansing mechanism is amino acid based. Your skin feels amazing. Personally, I love the Mandelic beyond. I can't even tell you how much I love the Mandelic. I shave with it. You can shave your legs with it. Anybody that wants to shave their legs, it just feels great on the skin. All of them do. I mean, you feel cleansed, but you don't feel dehydrated from the cleanse. And that's the biggest ticket I think I could give you.
Do you shave your legs with the Mandelic?
Not every day. No, I don't.
Men can shave their beards.
Shave my face.
Yes, personal favorite Mandelic and Green Tea Cleanser too. It is hands down just the bomb, and you can use it. And we personally recommend using it during your in-office treatments because of its ability to just kind of melt all the makeup off. Doesn't leave the skin feeling dry or tight. Doesn't leave any residual residue. One pump gets this amazing foamy, lather. It's just amazing. So it's for everybody.
Yeah, and it feels great. I mean, there's 6% mandelic acid in here, and that's trade secret I just gave you. But it feels from that, you actually don't feel any irritation. In fact, just the opposite. It just feels like anti-inflammatory value. In fact, there's times when we're doing treatments in classes, and if someone has some form of acne, a lot of times it starts reducing right there. I'm talking the inflammation starts reducing as you're cleansing. It's amazing. It's a great cleanser. So is the blemish control. We're using some really high-tech ingredients. I'll just name one. The phycoACP is amazing because it's not dehydrating, but it really goes after the cutest bacteria really well.
Mm-hmm. So it would be like the cutie bacterium. Yeah, acne, formerly known as P. acnes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's more of a targeted for anybody with acne. Really, really effective. No benzoyl peroxide. We don't use that, but that one other ingredient that is like that we're not going to talk about, trade secret, would be like the replacement for benzoyl without drying effects.
Correct.
Very, very powerful. And then we have 2 foaming cleansers. So Beta Foaming Cleanser has some salicylic in there. Some, people with acne issues, they really prefer to have salicylic. So this would be a good option for them. Salicylic is not in the blemish control wash. It's also some people like the foaming cleanser over a gel base. So we just have something for everybody. We also have a foaming cream cleanser. So this would be more for aging skin, dry, dehydrated. It's very luxurious. Personally, I do my first cleanse with the foaming cream cleanser to remove some of my makeup. My second cleanse is with the Mandelic and Green Tea Cleanser, and it's amazing.
Can I say something real quick about that? It just, when we first were developing products, and this goes back like 15, 16 years, we were going to develop a makeup remover. And the foaming cleanser did such a great job. So if someone comes in and has a little too much makeup left on their skin or came in with makeup, it is a great cleanser for that reason. So that's a foaming cream cleanser.
Yeah, it is. It's so nice. It's got a really nice little smell to it, and it is a mild exfoliant as well.
Great.
We have 2 toners, Blemish Control Toner and the Mandelic Toner. So it's self-explanatory. Toners are really important to reset the pH of the skin so that your serums can penetrate and not act as if they are the toner. Toners are less expensive than your targeted treatment serums, so definitely don't skip that step. The Mandelic toner is really for everybody. And another thing too, when you guys keep hearing Mandelic, this is really good for anybody with rosacea. And not, for a long time, there wasn't a lot of products for rosacea people. So Mandelic is so good for them. Of course, blemish toner for anybody with acne breakouts. And I have heard that the blemish toner kind of can act as its own treatment. It helps the purge.
Yeah, and I just one last thing is that the pH is really low, so it can penetrate and work, and it's 1.5, just to mention.
Yes. So no matter what, okay, one thing about this really fast too, because I get this, I talk about this a lot with people. I don't know that the cleanser with the built-in pH balancer actually really works, because at the end of that, you still have to rinse your face with water, right? And water is a pH of 7. So even if the toner is built into that, logically, it just doesn't make sense to me. Who knows, maybe it works. I just say, why not use a toner? It just feels nice little spritz, and it lasts forever. Two different manual resurfacing pads. So Dermodality uses chemical exfoliants. We don't have the gritty manual scrubbers, but if you do need like a manual exfoliating device or product, this is what it would be. Tell us briefly just a little bit about these two.
Yeah, again, it's not, especially with acne, you just don't want something that's hard, that's scraping the skin, because it just can cause some further issues by adopting that way of doing things. So the exfoliating pads are real simple. You have a combination of glycolic and salicylic acid, and it's a great treatment a couple times a week. And then the blemish control, what we did is, this is when we developed our Mandelic products, and the Mandelic is high percentage of there, 10%. There's a little bit of glycolic and lactic, a combination of 5% with 2% salicylic. So that's simple. So if they do have a little bit, if they're on the run, actually, the blemish control pads are great, because you can just use them you can use them literally 5 days a week if you'd like to, 7 days a week. But they're great to bring to the gym and places that you just need to get, wipe everything off, the sweat or whatever, destroy the bacteria that might be on the skin. They're great. I love the pads.
Yeah, definitely. I know. And they're versatile too. Like you said, they can be retailed to your client, but you can also use them during an office treatment. If you're not ready to do a full-on acid that day, do a quick swipe for your exfoliation process. But yeah, definitely. And treating acne, which you learn more about this in the trainings. The first step in treating the acne and the whole debacle is exfoliation. You have to keep that surface skin open so that cyacnus, if it's trapped, it's thriving and it is going to town, eating your sebum, but it's an anaerobic bacteria. It can't live in the presence of oxygen. So if those pores are clean and they are free, from all the debris, then you're really going to help minimize your acne issues.
Great.
Okay, these are all our serums. We have 9, I think. So we've got, I'm going to quickly say them, the vitamin A intense, the retinol mixer, and the revitalizing super serum. Those 3 have the retinol in them. We have our vitamin C intense, which is our true vitamin C. We have our hyaluronic C ester, which is mainly for hydration and moisture. The C in there is just a little bit of extra vitamin C. It's definitely not to replace your vitamin C intense. Our M corrective, which is really great for acne, daily serum, blemish RX, which is our spot treatment, HQ lightening gel, which is really phenomenal for anybody with pigment concerns, and then the restore eye cream for your eyes. Is there any, so we're going to make a video on this, because this could be another full hour we could go on. But I guess let's maybe just talk about our specific skin conditioning serums versus the other targeted serums that are complementary with those.
Yeah. So again, the serums, the actives are really high, and because I think we want to talk more specifically, and you guys can check out each one of our videos that are going to be more specific to each product overall. I just want to say it's the concentration, and it's in not just concentration now, it's really becoming also the technology that we're combining that with, and really having the opportunity today to take advantage of several things that didn't exist yesterday, literally yesterday. And that's especially with the vitamin C right now is the biggest change within our group of serums. They're just result driven, insane. You saw the pictures, and it didn't come by chance. It comes from technology and really contemporary technology that's just recent, that wasn't there before. Again, it's a water base in the vitamin C. Same thing with the hyaluronic. You have a hyaluronic based product. Much like the C, very important because it feels better on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy, dirty, like you're putting something that's not supposed to be like a silicone type feel. No, it absorbs. It feels great. All of our serums are just super, super clean.
Yes, so good. So our skin conditioning serums, I think, would be the vitamin A intense, the vitamin C intense, and the HQ lightening gel. So we talked about earlier, if your client can only go home with one product to continue that skin conditioning process, number one, always go with vitamin A intense. It's just so powerful. We do have the retinol mixer, which is a more potent concentration of our vitamin A, but we suggest starting off with vitamin A intense and then graduating. So vitamin A, and then, or the HQ lightening gel, which is hydroquinone and other tyrosinase inhibitors. So it's going to help stop that production of melanin during your treatments. And then, like Tony's mentioning, our vitamin C is packed full of the most advanced forms of vitamin C and lightening agents probably on the market right now. We're using something from the Cadu plum, which is the world's highest source of vitamin C, is what the clinicals are telling us. And then an ingredient from Canada, a Canadian shrub, which they say is more effective than hydroquinone without the toxicity levels.
And that's really a key, the protection by having the right amount of tyrosine inhibitors that you're using to protect your skin. But really, and one last thing I want to say, to stabilize the melanin, it's really critical in your treatments. If you don't stabilize it, you don't have full control over the chemicals that are being placed on the skin if it's a chemical peel.
Exactly. So check out the video for a full breakdown of our products. We'll get more into the serums. And then we have our moisturizers. We've got something for everybody, from weightless, which is literally weightless. It's packed full of really good acne fighting ingredients. So anybody with oily acne skin, you're going to want to go with weightless. Our Peptide Plus, which was your first product, right? Started out as a serum.
It was, and it is. It was a serum. I haven't talked about that for a long time. I'm glad you reminded me about that. That goes way, way back. Yeah, it was a serum. And from that serum, we created a moisturizer. So it has a serum value. In fact, I just want to say that the Ageless and the Peptide Plus are really great to interact if you need to or want to. With our other serums. So they're serum based, so it works very well. The symbiosis between those products are great. And especially maybe if it's around the neck area where there is going to be more sensitivity and you want to cut the irritant down, you can actually mix, like, let's just say the vitamin A intense or the retinol mixer, with the Peptide Plus or Ageless. Since you're buying both of those products generally, go ahead. It's already there. Now it's individualized.
Exactly. Yep. And so the Peptide Plus is really universal. I think the only people you wouldn't want to use that on is maybe grade 3 or 4 acne, but they should be on the wait list anyways. And then the Ageless is for your mature girlies. I love the Ageless too. And it's got exosomes in it too, which is okay, maybe not just girlies then. Our mature clients, or dry, like super dry. I'm on the drier side, and not to mention I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the middle of the desert. So I love that one. But I do oftentimes combine it with the peptide and even the Moisture Soothe Plus. I'll pick one or the other, and depending upon what my skin is telling me that day. But it is great. So something for everybody. And then the Moisture Soothe Plus is what should be on your back bar. It really should. We've got a back bar 8-ounce size of this, and it's just so full of anti-inflammatories. It's crazy. You can bring down the inflammation after treatment almost instantly. Little goes a long way with all of our products. And you really just don't need a lot, but I would say have the Peptide Plus and the Moisture Soothe Plus on your back bar for sure, and use it every time.
The Arnica works in the Moisture Soothe Plus.
It does. It does. And then people love it so much, they want to retail it. So we do have it in the retail size, which you can see there. And then our sunscreen, we only have one. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the sunscreen is an amazing sunscreen. It really was developed at the time we were doing chemical peel, initiating our development of chemical peels. The reason why is if you have a sunscreen that has too much titanium dioxide, for example, we have titanium dioxide. It's 1.7% in the sunscreen, and then we have zinc at 6.7% as the two key ingredients as far as sun protecting. But it's super light on the skin, and the skin can breathe. And if you have too much titanium dioxide, you can get this, and you're doing a chemical peel, send the client home with that. You can trap that heat, and that could cause some problems with the heat continuing to be bouncing back and forth for a little bit, and could cause pigmentation, post-inflammatory pigmentation, and different things of that nature. So it was originally developed for chemical peels, but honestly, it's been so good. We've had it, for our solo and only sunscreen. We are working on some other things right now that are going to be coming out hopefully in the next 6 months, 8 months, that will be really, really cool when it comes to pigment in the sunscreen. So cat's out of the bag.
Now you know. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes. Oh, yep, that's just the back bar side of the sunscreen. But that does conclude the brief overview of dermodality. So again, if you guys liked what you hear and you want more in-depth training, definitely come check us out. Our in-person trainings are a lot of fun. We provide lunch. With the training costs, you do get an entry-level kit that's valued, I think, at like almost $500, with the potential to earn anywhere to $5,000 with the amount of treatments you can get in the kit. You got a printout hard copy of our new updated manual, and
How many pages?
I think it's like 300. Lots of good stuff too.
300 pages.
Yeah.
You're a student and a studier.
It goes into depth too, and each acid and their functions and all the stuff. So you guys learn a lot. It's definitely worth it. And then if you're not in California or Las Vegas, this training is available on Zoom, and we're going to be at a lot of shows this year. So if you're in the areas of Philadelphia or Texas, Florida, Long Beach, did I miss one?
Las Vegas.
Yep. Check us out. This is for 2023. Come see us. We'd love to meet you and talk to you, and don't forget to follow us and reach out to the team if you need anything. We are here to help you. The main phone line is 760-280-9007. Tracy will most likely answer, but you can always contact and reach out to Tony and myself. So
yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. We were having a lot of fun, probably a little bit longer than we would have expected, but it's there's a lot of information. We can't wait to share more. That's all. It's in our DNA.
yes, it is. All right. See ya. Thanks, Tony. Bye.
Bye.